You built something. Maybe it took years. Maybe it took everything you had. Late nights, early mornings, sacrifices your family felt alongside you. And at some point, probably recently, you started thinking about protecting it. Today, I want to have a conversation that most business owners have never had with their financial team about the one risk that could undo everything you've worked for. It's not a market crash, it's not a bad hire, it's you. And what happens to your business if your health gives out before you're ready? Here's what we're going to walk through today. First, I want to show you the blind spot that most business owners have when it comes to protection. Then we'll look at the real risk, what a serious illness actually means for your business and your family. After that, I'll introduce the solution, we'll run the numbers side by side, and finally, we'll talk about next steps. This is a short conversation, but it might be one of the most important ones you have this year. Let's get into it. Here's the thing about working for yourself that nobody really talks about. When you work for a company, there's an invisible safety net underneath you. Group life insurance, disability coverage, HR benefits. Most employees don't think about these things because they're just there. When you work for yourself, that net doesn't exist, not unless you built it. And most business owners haven't, not fully. Think about what that actually means. If you get seriously ill tomorrow, your income doesn't get paid out by some company policy. It stops immediately because you are the business. Your employees still need their paychecks. Your equipment loans are still billing. Your vendors still expect payment. And your family, who has been counting on your business income for their mortgage, their lifestyle, their future, is now in a very different situation than they were yesterday. The business itself is the asset, not just your salary, but the entire thing. The client relationships, the reputation, the equity you've spent years building. One serious health event without the right protection in place can put all of it at risk. That's the blind spot. And the reason most business owners have it is because nobody ever told them it was there. Today, I want to tell you about Marcus. Marcus owns a landscaping company. He's 44 years old, been building the business for 12 years. Good client base, a small crew he trusts, equipment he owns outright. At 44, Marcus has a heart attack. Not fatal, but serious enough that he can't work for 9 months. His crew still needs their wages. His equipment loans keep billing. His operating costs don't pause because he's in recovery. His mortgage doesn't pause. His kids' school doesn't pause. And his business, which had no contingency plan, starts bleeding out while he's trying to heal. 9 months later, Marcus has burned through his savings, defaulted on 2 business loans, and lost 3 of his anchor clients to a competitor who showed up while he was gone. He had no coverage. He lost the business. And here's the part that makes this story so hard. Marcus was insurable. He was healthy before this happened. He just never got the policy. 1 in 4 self-employed adults have no illness or disability coverage, and a critical illness recovery can sideline a business owner for 6 to 12 months. The financial exposure during that window, the lost revenue, the fixed costs, the family expenses, can easily exceed $250,000. That's not a scare tactic. That's math. So what does the right protection actually look like for a business owner? It's called life insurance with living benefits. And for someone in your position, it does something that a standard policy simply can't. It works while you're still alive. Here's how it works. If you're diagnosed with a qualifying illness, terminal, critical, or chronic, you can access a portion of your death benefit immediately. Not when you pass away. Now, when your business actually needs it. A terminal illness diagnosis triggers access within 12 to 24 months. A critical illness, cancer, heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, triggers it right away. And a chronic illness where you're unable to perform basic daily functions also qualifies. Now here's what that payout actually does for a business owner. It replaces the income you can no longer generate. It covers your business loans and operating expenses while you're out. It protects your family's lifestyle and mortgage payments. It gives your team and your business partner the financial runway they need to keep things running while you recover. And if you have a business partner, it can even fund a buy-sell agreement. So the transition, if it comes to that, doesn't destroy what you've built. One policy, doing the work of several. Now let me show you the numbers side by side, because this is where it gets very real. If you're a business owner and you face a serious illness without coverage, Here's what you're looking at over a 9-month recovery. Lost business revenue. Conservatively, $135,000. Business loan payments that keep billing, $18,000. Operating overhead, $45,000. Family living expenses, $54,000. Medical out-of-pocket costs, $25,000. Total financial exposure, over $277,000. That's not worst case. That's a realistic scenario for a business doing $180,000 a year in revenue, which is modest by most standards. Now here's what living benefits coverage looks like on the other side of that ledger. You choose a death benefit of $500,000 to $1 million or more. A living benefit payout can give you access to up to 90% of that benefit during a qualifying illness. It covers lost income. It covers business expenses. It protects your family. And the monthly cost for a healthy business owner in their 30s to 40s? Typically $50 to $120 a month. $50 to $120 a month against a $277,000 exposure. That's not an insurance decision. That's a business decision. I've had this conversation with a lot of business owners, and a few things come up almost every time. I want to address them directly. One of the things I hear is, I have business savings to cover a gap. I respect that. Building reserves is smart, but a 9 to 12-month illness doesn't just pause your income. It actively drains your reserves while your fixed costs keep running. Living benefits don't replace your savings. They preserve them. Another thing I hear from my clients is, I'm too busy running the business to deal with this. This one I hear a lot, and honestly, it's the answer that concerns me most, because the busier you are, the more the business depends on you. And the more it depends on you, the more devastating it is if you go down without protection. The application takes about 15 minutes. The risk of not doing it is your entire business. Another common thing I hear is, I'll just get disability insurance instead. Disability insurance is a good product, but it covers income replacement only for a defined percentage over a defined period. Living benefits give you a lump sum you control. No waiting periods, no percentage caps, no monthly benefit limits. You decide where the money goes. Business expenses, family, medical bills, all of it. One more thing I commonly hear is, my business partner or spouse can run things if I'm out. Maybe. But can they sustain it financially for 6 to 12 months without the revenue you generate? Living benefits give them the financial runway to keep the business stable while you recover, instead of making impossible decisions under pressure. So here's what I want you to take away from this conversation. You've already done the hardest part. You built something from nothing. You took the risk, put in the work, and created something worth protecting. The question isn't whether you need protection. The question is whether the protection you have right now is actually built for someone in your position. For most business owners, the honest answer is no. Here's how we fix that. And it's simpler than you think. Step 1. A brief health questionnaire, 10 minutes. Gives us a clear picture of what you qualify for. Step 2. I put together personalized coverage options based on your business, your income, your family situation, and your goals. Step 3. You choose the coverage amount and any business-specific riders that make sense. Step 4. We submit the application. Coverage can often begin quickly, sometimes within days. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that what you've built doesn't disappear because of something that was completely preventable. You built the business. Now let's protect it. Feel free to send us a message, book a call, or drop a question below. We'd love to have a real conversation about where you stand.